Welcome back to the Buzz. I'm with my buddy, my bro. It's been a long time. Siege Falco, welcome in, welcome back.
How you doing, big man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm glad to have you back finally, so
Hmm.
we can get a little show on the road. So I did part one with Mark, and so now I'm here with part two with you, getting the GM's perspective of what's going on tomorrow. Everybody knows that we're in our quarterfinal playoff game, and we're playing the Arizona Scorpions. How do you feel about the matchup? I know that's Eddie and Ashley and Mark Miller over there. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, and they're family to us, and it's hard to play family, but there's unfortunately it's just the way that the playoffs ended, and as much as I love AJ and Will Todd and the Hands brothers over there and Eddie Gage, like, we got to go in there tomorrow and make sure we take no prisoners. Like, we got to make sure our defense is on lock. Everyone's got to make sure that they're paying attention to their cues. Like, we don't need offside penalties. We need a good, clean game to make sure we come out on top because I feel like the next couple games are going to be decided on who makes the least amount of mistakes and not, who can score more points.
Right. I agree. I spoke with Mark earlier about playbook things and him and Eddie having a long history together. They go way back since the beginning of the SFL and how well they know each other. And so I got his side of it since he does the coaching things and the owner things like that. And so I just kind of wanted to get your perspective of your role, which since you are the GM of Atlanta Swarm, um, what are like your day to day operations as far as getting the prep work for these players to get ready for the games?
So mainly every week is just uh, putting in the progression sheet and making sure our guys know what's going on, making sure that if they're encountering any bugs or issues, like we're dealing with it as soon as possible, and making sure BRV gets his snacks, and because he gets grumpy if you don't get his fruit snacks. Um, but a lot of our guys are always on the ball, so it's a lot of just making sure that they're doing the right reps, and we're just kind of overseeing at this point because even our rookies caught on, you know, three or a quarter through the way of the season, and it wasn't reminding people anymore about progression. It was just like double checking that they put in the right way, or there wasn't, when there was two attributes that were split up that they were doing the right grouping, and but I couldn't ask for a better squad of guys. The amount of work that we put in, getting the quality guys over here, it really pays out on my side, and like you said with Mark, because he doesn't have to worry about, are we going to have these guys next year, or are they going to be here next week to progress? We know we can count on these guys from week to week to week to season to season to season, and uh, I don't know. It's super nice to have guys that are active in the locker room and want to bring that thunder, and it's not just us three who are trying to hype it up. It's great to have guys who really want to put in that effort to make our team number one and great.
Right. So talking a little bit about the new progression, I know we've moved to another system and how we progress. Talk a
Right.
little bit about that since I know we've had, a few veterans. Well, everybody. It was new for everybody this season. Going
Hmm.
on to another progression sheet and actually doing it online, and then also bringing those rookies in and getting them, adjusted to that. So talk a little bit about that. How was it? Was it an easy transition? Did you have little rocky bumps in the road? Talk a little bit about that.
Right. A lot. I mean, for the main part, doing the contracts from last season to this season were pretty easy. It was just a lot of minor minute details that sometimes the website wouldn't pick up, like certain type of equipment options sometimes, or with us I know specifically we had run styles that even though on the contract were one thing, on the website's roster it was a completely different thing. So it was just that was like the biggest thing. But even then, I mean, a run style isn't going to make or break a game. It might make or break a pass or a route or something like that. But um, a lot of it was just having our players just ask the right kind of questions, and making sure that they got their login and they tied their Discord to their login, and a lot of that was just kind of holding their hands at first and just being like, hey, this is kind of the process you kind of have to go through, and then I mean even our rooks they caught on immediately, and I've thought about making some type of like YouTube tutorial video, but at this point, I mean, it's so simple nowadays where
Hmm.
you just once you link your account with Discord and the website, you just use, your name for your login and then whatever your password is, and then every week, Saturday or Sunday, you just put in your progression and you're good to go. And it's just so nice to be able to see all of progression all in one place, and then if you want to scout another team, you can go, straight to their roster file, see what they're doing this week, see what, stat attributes that they're getting up. You can kind of game plan for that instead of like seasons before. It was just kind of guessing, and you kind of had to deal with the roster file that you had from the week before, and just hoping that this week things were going to stay at least kind of same or similar. But then you'd have weeks where teams would pick up 4 or 5 ball hawks, and then you're
Hmm.
dealing with a defensive back or a secondary who is just destroying you and you had no idea. So it's just nice to have, you can make a more consistent game plan. And I feel like that's why games now this season, there's a lot less blowouts. There are blowouts every once in a while, but it's very hard to get a super one-sided game. It's very, back and forth, especially when you get to the really, really, really good teams like DC, losing what 6 or 7 games by like 2 or 3 points, like that.
Yeah, they're very
They,
close.
yeah, next season I could easily see them in the playoffs or pushing for a further run than that. Like there's so many teams nowadays that are just right there. They just didn't get that lucky play or that one field goal because the AI thought, yeah, let's not do a field goal on the 26-yard line with our kicker. And you're like, we pay for a kicker. Why would we not kick the ball?
Right. 100% agree. I just like that the fact that now the progression is all on one centralized location.
Yeah.
You don't have to go bouncing and figuring out, you know, did this person progress and did they not progress? It's literally all right there, and it shows that if they did or didn't. So you can easily go find the person and be like, hey, don't forget that progression, or it's time to progress and whatnot like that.
Yep.
Um, Earlier, I spoke with Mark, like I told you, and we were basically talking and saying that this season was kind of like a rebuilding season,
I know.
and how the success that we've had this season, even though we are, like I said, we are kind of in the rebuilding mode, is showing that we have a lot of promises that we've gotten this far. So talk a little bit about that. And did you? Because I know we kind of talked about it earlier about it might be a rebuilding because we don't have our players exactly where we want them to be. So talk a little bit about that.
So, we've always been not always, but these past couple seasons we've kind of adapted to go from, trying to be a playoff team every single season to be a player-based team, and we want to make sure that our players have the best basis to build off of because if we don't have players and we don't have, our golds who we can depend on every season, then we don't have anybody. And for us, it's just making sure that we bring back as many people as possible and we put in that time and work to make sure like we have a plan. Okay, so for our linebackers that are coppers, we need to make sure that we run these type of defenses because we'll be vulnerable against the pass or the run or it's just kind of playing to your strengths and not letting other teams uh, force you into your weaker kind of formations because you know you kind of have to roll with who leaves sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
or as much as you want your veterans to say, sometimes they have real life things that happen, or some type of drama in the league that makes them leave. Like you just don't know, and so you kind of always have to be prepared and roll with those punches. As much as I've loved our two gold linebackers the past 3 or 4 seasons, like we got to roll with 2 coppers and 1 gold. Shine's got to run in the middle and be middle linebacker and be going north and south,
Right.
running a whole lot more than he's ever used to. And that's just something we kind of have to roll with. And it's nice to have a third cornerback so he doesn't have to do all that running by himself. and now that J Rock's really has speed and agility and he's got his stamina going, like he's really starting to alleviate a lot of that pressure. But you kind of a lot of teams don't realize rebuild isn't just losing half your team, or it could be
Hmm.
a super core part of your defense, and that's what we lost. We lost you know uh, a tight end two, we lost a linebacker at one point. We lost our wide receiver three at one point the season
Right.
before.
A strong
Like
safety
it's
as well.
yeah, strong safety, and so it's just kind of filling in those roles when you can, and then making sure that your team has the best chances to not just be great this season with animations, but better than next season with stats, and just kind of building off of that. And that's why if you look at our value on the website, we're maybe you know I think we're the lowest value playoff team right now, but
Hmm.
that's not what wins games. Value doesn't win games. It's about your game plan and what your stats are. If you have a wide receiver who has six animations and 80 speed, I mean, he's not going to get open against my bronze cornerback three who has 92 speed and 90 agility. You're just not going to get by him. It's
Right.
just not going to
Right.
happen. Like this animation inflation kind of way, and we definitely were guilty of doing it these past couple seasons, but it's not the way that we believe that players should be built. They need to be built for the long term, because that's how you keep players on your team and keep players in this league, is making sure that they're not just good today, but they're good the next season and the next season and the next season after that. That's why Will Todd was able to go straight to Arizona. Not
Right.
saying that we did all of his build, but we were able to give him advice to make sure that he could elevate himself to that wide receiver or tight end one position, and there was no changes. Like, he didn't drop passes. He was plug and play, mini Jamal Wooding, and it's so great to see him do great things over there in Arizona. And it sucks that we have to face, and one of us has to go home, but
Absolutely.
I know that we'll be rooting for each other regardless of what happens tomorrow, and we'll still be buds, but we got to roll with it. And I don't know, I'm excited, nervous all at the same time,
Right.
because you just never know with Eddie. Like, he could be on fire like he has been, or he could be in the dumps. You just don't know, and that's just how the AI is sometimes. I don't know. I'm ready to see what it looks like.
Hey, look,
Ready to see.
Eddie is a mastermind over there. He's a mastermind of
Hmm.
defense for sure. And I know that he'll
Hmm.
be ready with everything and ready to throw it all at us anyway. But talking a little bit about that, I know you mentioned like J Rock, our rookie Garrett Hudson,
Hmm.
uh, and also our rookie on the offensive side, um, Ryan Roosevelt. Um, talk a little bit about that process of actually, finding the right fit for Atlanta, how they would, work with the locker room, the
Yep.
people in there, and everything like that. Just how was that process in finding those core people, and then bringing them into the locker room and seeing that they would work out and fit with the Atlanta Swarm and their motto.
Right. So a lot of my off-season time is spending time talking to rookies. I mean, it could be at any position, because if you're reaching up to a guy who is a linebacker or maybe a cornerback, like, those dudes talk to each other. So if you talk to one linebacker like I did Leon Thunderman, then I'm gonna figure out about other linebackers like Garrett Hudson, and there was a couple others that I was talking to in the draft. I can't remember their names. Stephon Forge is awesome.
Hmm.
I can't remember. I'm going through like my list right now. Um,
Yeah, I know you're on it, man. I know you
Yeah,
had
I
a
mean,
list for
I had a
days when
whole
I
list
saw
of
it.
people that I was talking to, and I'd write down notes of things that I liked about them, and maybe some red flags occasionally. You might meet someone who you didn't exactly vibe with, but fit the kind of stats and kind of the mentality, but didn't really. I don't know. Sometimes you can kind of see when someone might fit in your locker room or just isn't gonna vibe the right way, and it's just. I spent a lot of my time talking to Hudson and J Rock especially. Those guys I was talking to
Hmm.
for like months before the draft even happened. Ryan Roosevelt was like two or three. Like, I talked to him the season before that, and we talked a little bit, and I was like, hey, we're going tight end two, and that's when we picked up Will Todd, and he was super cool about it. And then the next season, I was like, hey, I still you're seeing the minors, like you want a spot on our squad? And he was like, if I'm still there, I mean, why not? And we got to the board, and as much as I love Nate Ritter's and his build, I tried talking to him, but I got one message from him in like 2 months of trying to contact him. And I always think, if you're not going to contact me within like a day or two, like I totally understand having a life
Hmm.
or a family or a job, or maybe you're in the military or something, but you know with this kind of thing, and how seriously we all take it, you kind of have to be here if we need to change your progression, or if you have an issue with your progression. Like, we can't just have someone who's in and out all the time,
Right.
and then you randomly miss progression in the middle of the season because you were busy, with your family or something. Like, it's just like we got a team to run, and if you don't want to be a part of that team and contribute, like, we gotta find someone else who's gonna make sure that they're gonna do that. And that's where Ryan stepped up, and we were messaging every day, and he made me laugh, and I was like, this person is gonna a uh, make our locker room better. And sure, Nate Ritters would have made the team better, but it's not about just the team. It's not about the value. It's about what the player is going to bring to your squad.
Right. I agree.
And that's way more important, bringing in someone who's going to be active and come to games, and I honestly figured out about J Rock because he was on a podcast. Can't remember whose podcast it was. I think might have been
Yeah,
AJ's.
it's
I don't
probably
remember.
AJ's because he was doing a
I can't
lot of
remember.
interviews.
Yeah, she was doing a ton of rookie interviews, which is super nice because then, rookies who feel like they don't really get a voice or a place to kind of advertise themselves, they can. And that's why I saw J Rock, and I immediately, lack of a better term, kind of fell in love with his character and the player that he plays. And I couldn't see us taking any other cornerback as much as I love talking to Cody Griffin and Isaiah. What's his last
I
name?
think it's right, maybe.
Uh, Isaiah King.
Or
Isaiah
King,
King
King,
was
King. Yeah.
also a great pick that I really wanted to take, but you know, when someone really just puts all that effort into, not making a podcast, but being in a podcast and trying to advertise themselves, he's always in chat. Like, I can't not try to, see what this guy's all about. And once I saw his build and everything we could do, and how understanding and how much he wanted to learn, like, he didn't want to just jump into a team and just be like, all right, I'm going to animation myself up. He wants to be the best. He wants
Right.
to be a GOAT. He wants to be a Hall of Famer. He doesn't want to just stop at being cornerback three. And I'm like, let's go get it. Let's go get, your cornerback one position. You're hungry, like, let's get there. It's going to take time, and it may take a season or two to step up into those positions, but your time will come. If, eventually, if that might be another team, and wherever that might happen, you're going to be set up for success. And, you're going to be able to say, hey, ATL put me in a good position, and that's going to bring more rookies to us. And you never know, he might come back or whatever else. It's always nice to make sure that you set your players up because they'll remember that and they'll come back. And it's just, uh, I don't know. It's super nice to spend time talking to rookies anyway, because then you see them, blow up like Cody Griffin. Like, he should be
Hmm.
one of the top defensive rookie player of the year candidates. That's just who I think should win, just because of his interception rate. He has so many pass deflections. You know, even though QCC should have went and probably won the championship, they ended up falling flat towards the end of the season, kind of
Hmm.
spiking and peaking towards the middle. But it's just how it is sometimes. You can't control the AI, and you can't control what the AI picks sometimes. But it's really cool the amount of rookies that are coming out, and they're really making it hard to make. They're really making my job hard
Right.
sometimes. Making a decision because I feel so bad that I can't pick every single one of them because there's so many good ones, and then you don't want to make them feel like you're picking someone over them, or like it's just it's not personal. It's just like you gotta make a business decision at that point
Right.
of what's going to be better for the team and not what's going to make you feel better.
Yeah, and so let me say this. So all those rookies out there, if you're listening to this, make a connection with those GMs or those team or those players on the teams or even those owners that are reaching out, taking time out of their day to reaching out and try to talk to you. So make sure you make those connections, and also if they do take that time to reach out to you, please get back with them.
Hmm.
Like that, they're trying to give you an opportunity to show that they're interested in you, or at least somewhere on you or on their mind. And if you can make a, a conscious effort of reaching back out, and even if you don't land on their team, I'm sure that they will go to another GM or another owner and tell them that, hey, this guy, he's a good character, whatever, whatever, and then put in another word for you there. And you might not even know it, but
Hmm.
that might put you on another team's board to get drafted. So
Right.
rookies,
I can't tell you how many times I've
please.
been talking to other GMs, regardless of the fact that we may be on other teams. We want to make sure that we're picking guys that are gonna, make sure they can contribute. And we're talking to SFL minor GMs. We're talking to head coaches. We're talking to, you know, uh, even free agents. We're talking to your GMs, we're talking to your owners and coaches, seeing how you were contributing in the locker room. Were you ghosting the entire time? Did you do
Mm-hmm.
your progression? Were you listening to the owners if they had any type of suggestions for your progression? Because a lot of players just think like, oh, I know the game better than you do, even though we spend thousands and thousands of hours every single year and season playing this game. Like we want to teach you. We want to teach you how to be great. But sometimes these rooks come in here and they're like, I want to max strength, and you're a wide receiver, and you're like, you don't. You need speed, bro. Like we need you to be quick and speedy. We can get you to that strength point. If you want to be someone who breaks tackles and can do that kind of thing, like what's his name? The running back from Tennessee. Can't remember his name right off the top of my head.
Oh,
Derrick
you're talking
Henry,
about Derrick
just like
Henry? Yeah.
yeah, like Derrick Henry. Like if you want to be a wide receiver that runs like a running back, like you can do that. It's just you got to build up to that.
Right.
Greats don't just come overnight in the
That's
SFL.
right.
Unfortunately, you don't just get drafted as a rookie and then that season you're a breakout player like Justin Jefferson. That's just not how it works. You got
Mm-hmm.
to earn your spot here, and it might be your second season you might blow up. It might be your fifth season you might blow up. But eventually everyone's going to get their time to be great and make that impact that everyone deserves to make. I don't know. It's probably the best part of the league is seeing all these players slowly build up. Like Dynasty this season for us has finally gotten to the point where he's going to be consistent from this season and on, and he's going to make his stats look great. He's going to make our team look great. Like they ain't ready for Dynasty. They're not.
So look. Speaking on Dynasty, this is gonna be my last question to you. Like I said, we do play Arizona tomorrow. I
Right.
believe it's 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, but
Eastern.
the
Yeah.
pregame starts at 1 o'clock. So if you want to get there earlier and then let them, give you kind of a run through of what's going on for the day and then the matchups and all that stuff, tune into that. It's going to be on Next Level. Um, yeah, Next Level, and it's also going to be on for the fans on Twitch. But like going back to what I was saying to Arizona, your last thoughts about this game and how you think it's going to go. Since we are back at home, and I believe this season we haven't lost at home. Knocking on wood,
Is that
but
true?
I believe so. Um,
I think you're right.
how do you feel about the preparation leading up to this game for tomorrow?
I mean, I know we're all sweating on both sides of the field. I know we're both nervous as heck. We're both high-powered offenses with really good freaking defenses, and like I said at the beginning, it's going to be a game of who makes the least amount of mistakes, and whoever is giving up turnovers and whoever has the most time of possession, I feel like is going to win the game. Because I think we both have kickers, right? Don't we
Hmm.
have both have kickers?
I believe so.
I don't I don't remember. Let me check. Because I think what's his name? Yeah, Cliff Allen. Yeah, how did
Yeah.
I not remember that?
Yeah, social
Yeah,
media,
like
social media guy,
yeah.
Cliff Allen.
So it's not going to be a type of game where it's who has the better field advantage, who's on one side pushes the other team to the other side, and eventually they score a touchdown that way. It's going to be who scores the most amount of points,
Hmm.
who score or and who makes the least amount of mistakes. And I feel like our defense is on fire right now. As much as I love AJ, and all them over there on the wide receiver core with Donnie Hands and TJ Punk, and of course Will Todd. But I don't know. I feel like our defense might make them look silly, and uh, I don't know. I just really hope that our offense is able to do the same, to kind of push our defense and make sure that we can finish out that game. Because if our offense isn't rolling and like it's like a super defensive sided game, because like we used to play when Chicago Wildcats were a thing, and we had games
Right.
that were like 3-6, and we
Mm-hmm.
still won. But it's those low, boring, quote unquote, scoring kind of games, and that's the kind of game that I don't want to get into tomorrow
Right.
because it could be one possession, one field goal missed, or one punt that you should have went for it on a 4th and inches on their 30-yard line or something. Like it's just gonna. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be real clean. I want the victor to be on top, and I want us to be able to shake hands at the end of the day and be like, we both fought hard, and we appreciate what we do, and we'll see each other next season in the playoffs.
Absolutely. With that, any last words before we close it on out?
Buy some merch at our store.
Yeah, go stop by the Hive shop. The link will be down in the description. Buy some merch. We have some new clothing line coming out. We have Dynasty's merch out. We have some stickers with the Atlanta logo, and we also have some hats now. And be looking at the website because we're gonna add some winter gear in there. So be prepared for that.
Beanies are coming.
Yeah, hey, look, just saying, you might want to cop them because it's going fast, and then we still have a few limited edition division shirts if y'all want those. So go grab
Yeah, I
those
gotta cop
before,
one before that ends, before we become champions, and then
right?
we gotta flip the designs. Becomes outdated.
But
Then it's
other
gonna be rare.
right, but other than that, yeah, tune in tomorrow for our quarterfinal playoff game against Arizona. We're playing at the Hive at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time on Next Level Network and also on For the Fans Twitch. So catch us there. And like I said, if there's nothing else, we'll catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Later.